Hey guys, this is another episode of Mostly MMA. I am your host, Paul Bryant. We are trying to bring you new episodes every Monday. Today I'm with a very special guest, Chris, the Crippler Leben. This guy is a UFC veteran. He was on the first season of The Ultimate Fighter. Hey Chris, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. I want to jump right in it. Let's talk about your book, son.
Oh yeah, book's been out for a while now. It's actually been selling really good for a while there. We were going back and forth with Ronda Rousey for the #1 martial arts book. So
yeah, you had
overall sales have been great, So I'm still waiting. I still haven't gotten paid on it yet, but sales have been good, so they tell me. Yeah.
I know that it seemed like, didn't you have a post that said something like the publisher wasn't going to put any more out at one time?
Well, we did. We had an issue where they printed. They had sold everything they printed, but they were able to get some more books. They got their hands on some more books, so I do have more available.
When do you see those coming out?
Well, they're out now. They're available you can either order them right off my Facebook or on Amazon, either one.
Okay, so I've seen that it had a pre-order, so I wasn't sure that it was coming out. Well, okay, January 5th, 2016. Not bad.
There we go.
That's good.
It's been out for a while.
I'm talking over you.
Yeah.
Yeah. What all you got going on in that book? It looks like a good read.
So obviously you haven't read the book. Well, no,
I'm sorry,
it's pretty good. I would like to say it's pretty good. Of course, I'm a little biased, but the best thing I would say for anybody is go read the reviews. Don't take my word for it. Take somebody that's their job. They're professional. They write reviews. Every review has been really good. So, it's pretty amazing. We even had one. It was the review of librarians, and they actually put a really great book out. It's not just for somebody that's into martial arts. It's a good read for any walk of life.
Good deal. Yeah, sorry about that. I would have read it if I could get it from the library. Yeah. So what about your real estate you got going on? I know you're in the real estate now, trying to sell houses.
Yeah, man. I've been working on it. I passed my test, and then I just did a 1-month class for real estate, 4 hours a day. Passed that class. Right now I'm doing work in the real estate office. I'm helping out some other realtors, staying real busy. Unfortunately, I'm having to jump through a couple extra hoops to get my license due to, a few of my brushes with the law. So trying to take care of that. I'm working, I've got a lawyer. We're working together. We're working to get everything into the California BRE so that, I'll be able to get that license hopefully shortly.
Any chance of, say, like an expungement on some of your charges?
Well, yeah, I'm going to have to go back and expunge some of them, but the issue is you can't expunge anything when you're still on probation.
I see.
So right now I'm kind of working with, I did a lot of letters of recommendation, psychiatric evaluation, trying to show people that, one, I'm not a danger to myself, two, I'm not a danger to others.
Of course. Yeah, I've seen some fan-made ads on your Facebook that seem pretty cool about the Crippler, your real estate business.
Oh, yeah, man. I've had a couple of people, especially one guy in particular that's been really they're sending me stuff, their Photoshop stuff, and it's
Are you still there? Are you still there, Chris?
Oh, I'm here. I lost you for a second.
Oh, no problem.
There, you got it?
Yeah, we're good, man.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you about the McGregor fight. Did you see that?
I saw the highlights. I caught the end of the fight, and I saw the highlights. I wasn't able to actually watch the fight. But, I watched the first one. Pretty amazing, man. I can't tell you. I really didn't think McGregor was going to win that. So I'm pretty blown away with him. he never seems to stop impressing me, that guy.
Yeah, he's something else. One thing that Nate had said was that he felt like Conor was running, and that he wishes that that the UFC was using pride rules. What do you think about that? The yellow card.
Well, I've always been a fan of the yellow card. I mean, number one, we're entertainers, so
right.
we're in there to put on the show. We're in there to do our job, and unfortunately, the way the scoring is with the UFC, sometimes running and fighting very tentatively pays off, which is unfortunate.
Sure.
I've definitely felt that way in a lot of my fights. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, who wants to get hit by Chris?
Especially when you fight to somebody that runs and then you lose, that's you always feel that way at the time.
Yeah, that Michael Bisping fight of yours kind of reminded me of that, how he didn't really want to engage.
Right. Yeah.
He was definitely moving out. I wanted to ask you, did you ever get a chance to read that article, Finding Strange Brew?
I didn't read the article, but I heard about it. A lot of people came up to me and commented on it. I did a few other interviews where I commented on it. Kind of a tough one,
Yeah. Yeah, I read it, and it's probably one of the best articles I've ever read. And
really?
Man, that Jason, geez, that guy got it bad. Thatcher from the first season of The Ultimate Fighter. That dude had a real thing of bad luck, man.
Yeah.
I'm not a trained fighter, but when watching that first season, I don't know, you kind of look at that guy and like, man, I could probably take him.
Yeah, life's not fair. I mean, unfortunately, if I were to blame anybody, I would blame the directors and like the casting for the show.
Yeah.
They cast Jason Thacker to be the heel. They knew he wasn't a fighter, and yet they still picked him because they knew he was going to rub everybody wrong. And
they wanted to get that Canadian. They wanted to get that viewership, that market.
I think it makes good TV. You have to have contradicting personalities.
I'm sure you've seen The Karate Kid and movies like that, right?
Sure.
He, one of the things he talked about is that it seemed kind of like The Karate Kid. He had other gyms coming up to him, always trying to fight him. Yeah, they had a picture. I guess he'd gotten attacked by a pipe. Someone disfigured his nose. He got it bad.
He had to grow out his beard so people wouldn't recognize him. I mean, I got to say, Canadians are probably the craziest fans of the sport.
Right.
From what I've noticed.
You think that they're crazier than the Brazilian fans?
I wouldn't want to lose. Put it this way: I'd rather beat a Canadian in Canada than lose to a Brazilian in Brazil.
You've seen Matt Brown.
Beat a Brazilian in Brazil. Wait, what's that?
Matt Brown, in one of his last fights in Brazil, they were smacking him on the way out to the ring, and he'd even had someone that attacked him at the hotel or something.
Yeah, they're a tough crowd. Yeah. I've had a few opportunities to go down there, but after my Vanderlei Silva fight, I always kind of felt like, maybe it's not the best idea.
Well, it brings me to my next topic, Vanderlei Silva. Man, I tell you what, that fight was something else. My brother, he got sick that day, and I watched that by myself, but I'm pretty sure I woke everyone up that night.
Wow.
What did that feel like, putting Vanderlei away like that?
Well, Vanderlei was kind of my hero. You felt like watch the Pride videos. You go and, I'd go down to the Asian toy store in my neighborhood, and the guy had like the bootleg Pride. When Vanderlei was just murdering everybody over there. So I kind of grew up watching him and trying to emulate his style. So for me, choosing to fight Vanderlei was, it was a big deal. He was one of my mentors in sport. So I definitely idolized him. and I didn't really plan on beating him, to be honest with you. I went out there just because I really wanted to fight Vanderlei Silva and say that I had done it. Obviously, it was pretty big, pretty amazing surprise the way everything worked out, and definitely one of the highlights of my career for sure.
Oh yeah, Vanderlei. What's a super fight that you always wanted that you never got?
That I always wanted that I never got?
Yeah, for you, yeah.
Man, you know what? I fought pretty much everybody in my division. I fought him once. Everybody that I wanted to fight. Vanderlei was the big one for a long time. I had tried to get that fight with the UFC, and it wasn't. Akiyama was supposed to fight Vanderlei, but Vanderlei got injured, and then I went out. I beat Jake Rochal, and then 2 weeks later, I stepped in for Vanderlei, who was injured, and beat Akiyama, and that's what. Then after that, I really lobbied hard to fight Vanderlei, and I was able to get it. That was actually probably my dream fight, the biggest fight that I ever wanted. I actually was able to get.
Good deal. Yeah, I think I wish that they would have let you be one of the coaches on The Ultimate Fighter, man. You and Vanderlei, that would have been an epic season.
That would have been great, and then a rematch. I mean, it's pretty. His second, I fought Bisping. Bisping beat me, but all he did was run backwards.
Oh yeah.
And then he went to be a coach on The Ultimate Fighter, and then I fought Vanderlei Silva. I knocked him out, and then he went on to coach The Ultimate Fighter. So, it's always something I really wanted to do. I just, the opportunity never presented itself.
Yeah.
Or the UFC never presented the opportunity to me. That's how you want to look at it.
What do you think about the Reebok deal?
I think it's pretty terrible, to be honest with you. I mean, when I was fighting, I would say 50% of my pay came from sponsorships,
Mm-hmm.
And not just that, but, when you think of like a guy like Phil Davis, you think of, okay, pink shorts, your clothing, your gear that you wear, it's a representation of yourself, of who you are. When you step into the cage and everybody's wearing the same brand, everybody looks exactly the same, everybody's the same cookie cutter UFC fighter. There's no individuality, So not only does it rob the fighters of, a large portion of their income, but it also takes the individuality away from the sport, and it just makes the athlete more like a number and less like a person.
Yeah, I've definitely got to agree with you there. They do all look the same.
But, hopefully, they sold, and from what I am hearing, things, Reebok's not too happy, so maybe it won't be much longer. We'll see.
Yeah, what do you think about their new ownership? You think that they're going to be able to take the UFC to new levels?
Truthfully, I feel like that Dana and the Fertittas really sold at the right time. I mean, they bought in for, I can't remember, like $2 or $4 million, and then they sold it for $4 billion. They made a ton of money right now. You got all these guys testing positive, all these new regulations for the sport. Eventually, fighter compensation is going to be a huge issue, a huge financial problem for them. With all the stuff going on with concussions and everything else. I feel like, Dana and the Fertittas are getting out at the right time. I think the sport, it's the most exciting sport in the world. It's always going to be there. It'll do great. It'll make money. But if I had to guess, what we're going to see is we're going to see Dana and we're going to see the Fertittas slowly kind of fade away from being part of the UFC. I think they sold and they won out, but they can't it would be too abrupt if all of a sudden Dana White wasn't the face of the UFC. So I think another year or two, you're going to see him showing up less and less. And, they're going to fade into their new ownership, their new corporate ownership, and we'll see what they do with the sport, what they do with, fighter compensation and a lot of other things, how they're going to handle it, what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's good to have a fighter like you on here who's not under contract, that you can actually speak your mind, So I want to know, what do you think about the fighters union that they're trying to get together?
Well, Nate Corey's a friend of mine. He's been he's been hard at work at that for a while. You know, the problem is the UFC itself is, you know, they've made themselves the big show. It's not about the individual. It's not about the athlete. It's not about, you know, the two guys that are fighting. Whether you're the main event, the co-main event, it's all about just that it's the UFC. These are supposed to be the best guys because it's the UFC. And unfortunately, you know, that's what the country and the world buy into.
Right.
You know, so I think no matter what, it's hard to have a union when you can't get everybody under one umbrella. You know, I feel like for every American fighter that says, "Hey, I'm not going to fight, I'm going to boycott," there's 20 Brazilian kids, you know, that are probably tougher than most of the Americans. They'll be like, "No, I'll fight for $7,000. I'll fight in the UFC."
Right.
Of course. You know, so it makes it hard because really they've done a great job at making themselves the big show, making themselves the only main event. You know, the UFC is the heavyweights. You know, they're the NBA of MMA, and it's kind of gonna be that way for a while. So it's gonna be kind of hard to fight that. Not without politicians involved in laws, I think.
Do you ever see Bellator catching up with the UFC?
You know, I think Bellator does a great job. And they're an amazing alternative option for the UFC. As a matter of fact, I think right now the greatest thing in MMA is Bellator and their ability to even compete to some standard with the UFC. But, you know, truthfully, you know, even the top guys in Bellator, I know I've talked to them, will tell you, hey, we can't go toe to toe with the UFC. We can't. They're a bigger show. They've got more money. Bellator is the best thing that's happened in the sport in a long time. And, you know, they're doing great, but they don't have the pockets to be able to compete with the UFC, unfortunately.
Before your health issues, what was some matchups you were looking forward to in Bellator? I know that I really wanted to see you and Koscheck go at it again.
Well, you know, I think the obvious matchup would have been me and Josh Koscheck. You know, I think that's the one a lot of people wanted to see. But, you know, I was really hoping to get, you know, and we had talked, you know, and it was kind of hearsay, but, you know, couple tune-up fights first, and then, you know, obviously step in there with Koscheck, and then depending on how things, you know, what went on next, you know, kind of reevaluate, adjust, and figure it out from there.
Yeah. Reports are saying that Rory McDonald has gone to Bellator. I've seen some that say he actually signed, and then there's others saying, wait, the deal's not official yet. But you know, they're poaching talent over there.
They are, you know. I mean, and you know, you got guys like Phil Davis, you know, who are top 10 UFC fighters that are making the transition. Because not only is Bellator paying their top guys, they're paying them well, but they're also they can retain their sponsorship, which is a huge deal.
Yeah. A lot of, you know, because with the sponsorships, that's not even money out of Bellator's pocket.
Exactly.
So are you into any kind of movies? You got any favorite, like, TV shows that you're into?
You know, not really. I mean, me and the old lady got hooked on the Game of Thrones for a while.
Oh, man.
I was like watching episode after episode of that. That was pretty cool,
Yes.
but it's like you watch somebody, you follow them around for a while, they get in a fight, they get killed, then you watch the person that killed them, you follow them around for a while, they get in a fight, they get killed. You know what I mean? It kind of just repeats itself. It's like real life.
No doubt. I think that's kind of one of the things that works for them, though. Like with them and The Walking Dead, when you see a show and they get into some kind of situation, and you're like, yeah, whatever, they're going to get out of it. Nobody dies on this show. On those shows, it's like, I don't know.
That's true. It's true. You know, and it does, man. It makes it a nail biter because you never know if they're going to live or die.
No doubt.
Just ruined it for me, though. I was at the doctor's office. I picked up a magazine and found that Jon Snow's not dead. And since I'm a season behind, it totally threw me off. I was like, no, spoiler.
I don't know if you ever, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but the actor that plays Jon Snow, he said that he was pulled over for speeding. And then that the cop was like, basically, just tell us if you're alive or not. And he said, yeah. And he said, move along, Commander.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good stuff. I guess they're only doing about 15 more episodes, though. They're going to have, 2 shortened seasons, and it's supposed to end it.
At that, okay. Well, I'm excited.
So you're all caught up on it now?
No, I'm still a season behind. So don't tell me.
Okay. Good stuff. How was high school for you? Did you do any sports? Were you in anything like that? After school activities?
I grew up a skateboarder, that was it, man. I thought I was going to be a pro skater for a long time. Really just hanging out with my buddies, skipping school and skateboarding. But, kind of a long story. I ended up getting a fight with a jock, decided to join the wrestling team just because I wanted to eventually beat him up. Joined the wrestling team late my freshman year. And, ultimately, the camaraderie and, the coach and my friends that were on the team, it's really the reason that I was able to even graduate. I never would have graduated high school if it wasn't for the wrestling team. And then, that was a huge part of my life in high school, was being a wrestler.
Right.
But that was the only sport I ever did.
Now, I could have seen you being into track or cross country or something like that, You were on the Ultimate Fighter there drinking all night, you still beating everybody running.
Yeah, it's because, the alcohol thins your blood so that you can run better.
Really?
No, I'm just kidding. That's the old me. That's what I used to tell people. No. Yeah.
Yeah, I get a little jealous every time I post pictures on the beach.
What's that?
I said I get a little jealous every time I see you posting pictures on the beach.
Well,
you know how many seasons Ohio has?
Not you guys don't have too many beaches, that's for sure.
Ohio has two seasons, winter and almost winter.
Winter and almost winter. Yeah, that sounds about right, man.
What are your predictions for Carlos Condit and Damian Maia fighting here Saturday?
That's going to be an exciting fight, two totally different fighters, I probably think Condit will probably knock him out. Probably land a flying knee or something crazy, catch Damian Maia shooting a shot. But, if it goes to the ground, I don't know that, and if it gets past the first round, I think the farther it goes, the better it is for Damian Maia, but we'll see. We'll see. That's a hard one to predict.
What did you say, sorry?
That's a hard one to predict.
Yeah. Did you happen to see when Carlos Condit fought Robbie Lawler?
I heard it was one of the greatest fights ever.
It was a pretty good one, but I couldn't figure out how they scored it for Lawler. It really seemed like Condit was dominating that fight.
Yeah. I think I must have missed that UFC because I can't remember it, but I've heard everybody said that it was a great back and forth fight, but Condit lost, obviously.
Pride, their evaluating was a little different when it came to the scorecards, and it kind of, the momentum shifts and stuff.
Right.
I've seen Robbie, he definitely took rounds 4 and 5, but Condit seems to definitely have 1 through 3.
Well, there you go. Well, see, Pride also scores the end of the bout higher than the beginning of the bout.
Right.
And they have 10 different criteria. And I could actually tell you what they are because I know well because my old coach, Matt Hume, is the one that wrote the judging criteria for Pride.
Really?
Yeah, he's the one that came up with all that, and rather interesting. You have number one is intent to finish the fight and aggression. So even if you're on bottom and you're trying to throw arm bars and almost submitting a guy, and you're attacking, you're still winning the fight. Where in the UFC, if you're on bottom, I don't care if you almost catch him in 10 submissions, you lost that round.
Definitely.
You know, for some reason in this country, we're trained to think that if you're on bottom, you're losing. You know, and that's just the way the scorecards work, which, you know, it's not true, but, you know, we all know that. Yeah.
Do you think that takedowns aren't as valued as they used to be? It used to seem like someone could be dominating a fight and then just get taken down for the last 5 seconds of the round and win that round.
Right. What was the question? Do I think what?
Do you think that takedowns aren't as valued as they used to be?
I think slowly but surely the judges of MMA are coming along. I mean, originally we were just pulling boxing judges, you know, that were part of the Nevada State Athletic Commission over to the UFC and having them judge fights and telling them, yeah, it's a 10-point must system just the same as boxing, which boxing is a great sport. I love it. It's two-dimensional. You can score it on a 10-point must system. You can't score MMA on a 10-point must system. And then boxing judges, not knowing anything about ground game or, you know, about takedowns and takedown defense, would say, okay, if somebody got a takedown or if somebody's on top, then they're winning. You know, they would score those things so highly. And that's just, you know, we both know that's not the case. I mean, I think equally, you know, for every takedown that you stuff, you should score points. If somebody shoots 2 takedowns and they get stuffed, but then they take you down on a third, well, I think it should be a pretty even scorecard, especially if you're just able to stand up and they don't get anything when they're on top.
Right. What did you what do you think about USADA?
Hello, are you there?
Yeah. What do you think about USADA?
USADA, the commission?
Yeah, you know, the new drug testing policies and stuff.
I mean, that's a tough one. You know, I think drug testing is always going to be a cat and mouse game. You know, they're going to come out with a new test. They're going to figure out how to regulate one thing. And then, you know, whenever you have competition and money involved, people are going to try to find a way to beat it, to get the upper hand. So, I mean, I think you're still going to see, you know, different things, different ways of guys, you know, trying to get an unfair advantage.
Mm-hmm.
But absolutely, I mean, I think, you know, the more drug testing, the more regulation, the better. I think the more clear it makes the playing field.
Do you think they should test for marijuana? You think they should just leave people like the Diaz brothers alone?
Well, I think I know where you stand on this issue. You know, I mean, it's hard because some people say it's a performance-enhancing drug. Some people say it's not. Some people say it's great for people that have seizures. Some people say it's great for tolerating their pain. Well, I mean, if it's a pain killer, then you know what? That's a performance-enhancing drug. You know, and I definitely have friends that smoke weed and get better at things. I know that that's not the case with me. I smoke weeds and all I want to do is eat Cheetos, lay on the couch. But
can't make that weight cut no more then, huh?
But, you know, I've seen guys that perform better under it, and the bottom line is it is a drug. You know, It does alter your brain. So, I mean, I don't know. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. I don't want to go on record of saying things either way because at the same time, I feel like it sure is a lot better for you than alcohol, you know.
Right.
You know, I think, yeah, if they could find a way that, like, if you're competing stone, that's one thing. But if it's in your system, that's another thing.
I hear you. Who do you think is the GOAT of MMA? Out of any weight class, who do you think is the GOAT?
The GOAT.
Greatest of all time.
The greatest of all time, the GOAT. Oh.
Yeah. I can't believe you've never heard that term.
Yeah, I know. I can't either. It totally is a good one. I would have to say probably Fedor Emelianenko.
Do you think that people give him too much slack or whatever? They get on him too much just because he never fought in the UFC?
Yeah, I
That's
think
a lot
so,
of
man.
people would argue with you and say Fedor is not the greatest.
You know, well, it's tough. Fedor, Anderson, BJ, Randy Couture.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, at their time, at their moment, I think they were all just amazing.
I think, with Fedor, if you look back, I'm pretty sure the UFC record for heavyweight title defenses is only 2. It shows you how hard it is to win a heavyweight title fight. And the guy went 32-0 at one point, I believe.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's amazing. And then when you go back and you look at him, he's not a picture of fitness. You know what I'm saying? He's not what you think a heavyweight champion is going to look like. He's pudgy, he looks intimidated, but then he just goes out there and murders guys.
Yeah, he kind of, in a way, reminds me of Daniel Cormier, where how Daniel went from heavyweight, and he was very successful, but then he went down to 205. Do you think Fedor could have made 205?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Are you, so do you have any regrets about your MMA career?
I don't. No. I think everything happens for a reason. So, there's no point in regrets. You only plan for the future and try to modify and adjust things. But you know what? When you make a decision, just make your mind up, commit to it, and then you never have regrets if you do that.
For sure. Let's see here. What kind of advice would you give someone who's trying to get into MMA? You don't just want to go to any gym that you can find. There's not always smart training. What kind of advice would you give someone looking to find a good gym?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest one. My first coach was Randy Couture, and he had a biblical statement. He used to always quote, and it was, as iron sharpen iron, so one man another. And truthfully, you're only as good as the guys that are around you. They're your team. They're what make you who you are. So find the best team, find the best coaching that you possibly can.
And are you still coaching?
I am. Yeah, I'm at the arena in San Diego, and we got a great fight team. As a matter of fact, I'm cornering Jesse Taylor in LA tomorrow. So I'm sitting in the hotel right now. I think he's actually passed out right next to me. So still coaching and cornering and doing what I do.
Good deal. Do you follow any other sports?
Yeah, skateboarding, motocross, snowboarding, those are all favorites for me. But nothing, no real sports. Nothing mainstream.
Right. Good deal. What about dieting? Would you have any advice for people trying to drop some 10 pounds or something, some things they could eat or stay away from?
Dieting, man, it's not as hard as it seems. I think make it simple. All those fad diets are stupid. It's as simple as calories in versus calories out.
Right.
Burn more calories than you're eating. So number one, you got to work out. You got to do something in the morning to get your metabolism going. And, obviously, whole plant-based raw foods. Try to eat as much greens, fruits, and vegetables as you want. Don't worry about the sugar and fruit. Eat all the fruit you want. I promise if you're eating fruit instead of bread and pasta, you're going to lose weight.
Right.
It's not hard. It's not rocket science. It's really not.
When you were training for fights, how much road work were you putting in? How many miles were you running a week for your cardio?
It depends on my coach and my strength and conditioning coach. I had different strength and conditioning coaches that had different mindsets on that. Some of my coaches thought that too much road work gave you too much slow twitch and mid twitch muscle. You want that explosiveness for fighting. So I would run with some coaches. I ran more sprints. With other coaches, I did slow, long road runs. personally speaking, I'm a fan of putting in road work. I'm a fan of the long, slow runs. You know, Muhammad Ali, all the greats back in the day before they had all this science in their conditioning. You know, they went out, they ran their 5 miles in the morning. They did their road work, and the only reason they knew that it worked is because it worked, not because they had some printout sheet that said it did this or did that or changed this level or that level. All they knew what worked, what didn't work, and all those guys put in road work and ran.
Another thing, what are your thoughts on CM Punk? Do you really think it's realistic that he can be successful in the UFC?
No.
He's got that fight with Mickey coming up here. Is that UFC 2 or 3? Is it?
Yeah, coming up. I got about 2 or 3 more minutes. So that's about it. Just to let you know.
Okay, no problem. Just hang on for a line for a second, Chris, and we'll end this. One more thing. Just tell us, how's your health? How are you doing?
You know, it's getting better, man. I'm staying sober. I'm doing a lot of, Eastern medicine, a lot of herbs. Also trying to mix that with the Western stuff from the doctor. Originally, my heart was at 18%. I went in about 5 months later. It was at 24.
Nice.
Now it's up to 30. So, it's still about half of what it should be to be healthy. A little less than half of where it should be at. But, it's improving. So, that's the important thing.
And no chance that you can ever fight again?
I haven't even thought about it because
yeah,
it's one of those things, like, there's no use in thinking about it right now when it's not an option, If it does become an option, then I'll cross that bridge.
Good deal. Chris, just hang on the line for a second and we'll end this. Just hold on for a second. All right, it's Paul Bryant here with MMA Outsiders, and we'd like to thank our guest, Chris Leben, today.